Hey everyone, my name is Casey Rain. We are The Violet Reality and welcome to a brand new series. For those of you who have enjoyed our The Facts You Didn't Know series, we hope you'll enjoy this one too. It's similar in approach, but this one is called The Lost Tapes. And in this series, we'll be taking a deep dive into Prince's unreleased projects. Unlike the Facts series, we won't aim to cover every single unreleased Prince project in this series, because frankly, for more than a handful of them, there's simply not enough known about them. So we'll be taking a slightly different approach, and as well as including some of the unreleased Prince albums, we'll be including unreleased Prince-produced albums too for artists on his label and associates. Before we start, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, smash that subscribe button, and hit the bell for notifications. It's free, takes no time at all, and really helps support this channel. Let's do this thing. Prince once said in an interview that the reason he gave away so much music to other acts was that he believed that in this life, the more you give, the more you get. So if you want more love, you give love, and if you want more music, you give more music. And this is definitely the case with all the various side projects that he did, which in many cases, he did just as much as on his own albums. The first released album in this category would be the 1980 debut by The Time, but actually it wasn't intended to be the first non-Prince album, to put it one way. You see, back in 1979, Prince uncharacteristically chose to hold some recording sessions not in his native Minneapolis, nor in what would become his second home in LA. Between the 10th to the 21st of July 1979, Prince took his whole band to the city of Boulder, Colorado for a set of sessions after he'd finished recording his second and self-titled album. Now, it's not actually clear where the money for these sessions came from. Common knowledge has it that Prince blew through his $150,000 3-album advance payment from Warner Brothers mostly on the recording of his debut For You, with a small amount left for the second album, and then basically no budget at all for the third album, Dirty Mind, which is what led to its lo-fi sound. But perhaps given that this was a band project, and not a Prince solo project, he'd managed to rustle up a small budget outside of his original advance, or perhaps he used a rehearsal or tour budget instead. It does seem, according to Matt Fink, that Prince didn't want Warner Brothers knowing about these sessions beforehand, so it's possible that he simply covered all the costs from his own pocket, rather than asking the label to cover the costs. Either way, the choice of Colorado was perhaps due to a lower cost of studio time there, and perhaps a generally low cost of living for accommodation and day-to-day living expenses for himself and the band. Much like the self-titled album, the sessions were engineered by Bob Mockler from the Hollywood Sound Recorders facility, and over the course of 12 days, 10 songs were recorded. What's interesting is who Prince handed over levels of creative control to, and that's two other members of the band, Des Dickerson and Andre Simone. Even though it was early days for Prince and his band, with only one Prince album having been released by this point, both Des and Andre were already seeking to write and release their own work, and notably both would leave the band over the course of the next few years, with Andre leaving in 1981 and Des leaving in 1983. It seems likely that Andre and Des's desire to be writing and releasing material that they wrote is what led to this project, particularly since For You had only been a minor hit, and the continued success of Prince at this point was far from guaranteed. Both of them likely knew that opportunities would start coming their way, and wanted something tangible to anchor their own contributions to the early Prince camp. What this meant was that although The Rebels was presented to the band as an opportunity for the whole band to do something together, it was primarily an opportunity for Des and Andre as writers. And of the 9 songs recorded during those 12 days for the Rebels album, Des and Andre were responsible for 5 of them between them. Both recorded with the band one unnamed instrumental that they each wrote. Des wrote 2 songs named Too Long and Disco Away, and Andre wrote a song named Thrill You or Kill You, and they also performed lead vocals on those songs. The other band member with the most input was keyboardist Gail Chapman, who would be the first to leave the band around 1 year after these sessions. On the Rebels album, she had actually performed lead vocals on 3 songs written by Prince, the songs being You, If I Love You Tonight, and The Loser. What's interesting is that Prince perhaps never envisioned these songs being sung by any male acts, as he'd pulled the first 2 out of the vault over a decade later, offering You to Paula Abdul and If I Love You Tonight to Misha Paris and later Maite. So Prince really did see this effort as something where he'd play a more low-key role, despite having written 4 of the songs. In fact, only one song of the 9 Rebels songs has vocals from Prince, and that's the song Hard to Get, where he shares co-lead vocals with Andre. Now, you might have noticed that we said 10 songs were recorded during these sessions, yet the Rebels project only contains 9. So what is the mysterious 10th song? Well, it's a song that you all know, but not in the way that it was originally recorded. During this time period, there was a popular dance routine being performed at clubs called the Rock. It's this exact dance that inspired Rod Temperton to write the song Rock With You, which of course he gave to Michael Jackson and came out later that year in 1979. But Rod and Michael weren't the only ones taking inspiration from it. During the course of these sessions in Colorado, Prince recorded a song named Let's Rock. Aiming to capitalize on the trend, Prince asked Warner Brothers if they would be interested in releasing it as a standalone single, not tied to an album, in order to get it out quickly, but unfortunately they said no. So Prince put the song back in the vault, but not for very long. 2 years later, in 1981, he pulled it back out, and to avoid it seeming dated, he decided to rename the song. And what did he rename Let's Rock to? Well, Let's Work, which of course found a home on the Controversy album and became an absolute classic. So that's the story of the Rebels album, and thus marks the first video in a new series. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Should the Prince estate release the Rebels album? Let us know in the comments. Peace and be wild.
Hey, I'm Anna Fantastic, and you're tuned in to The Violet Reality.